Honored to be back at the same place where I graduated 10 years back. And yeah, as she said, I am 2013 pass out. So I'm 2013 pass out, and I'm here to bridge the gap between industry and colleges. Definitely there are fast moving things happening in the industry with the revolution of data science, AI, and in every field there is a combination. You would have heard the combination of mechanical and electronics. There is an emerging field of mechatronics as well. So basically I'll try to share some of my knowledge, and I'll try to explain you all that how industry works and what is the demand of the industry, because what we face the challenges is that the syllabus which we study in 4 years, right, it is around 6 subjects in one semester, so we are actually ending up in studying 48 subjects. But then what is important, what we need to know, what would be applied in the industry, right? And you would have heard we study integration, differentiation in our schools, but we always tend to think that where to apply this. So I am here to tell you that how this application works and how learning basic things you can solve big industry problems. And I'll also share my experiences of working in various roles. So that's the intent for today's session. With this, I'll start with today's session. So the first thing I'd like to talk about how the banking industry works. As an engineer or a data scientist helps the industry to solve very big problem and also help in delivering value to the customer as well, or if it is a bank, for JP Morgan I am working, so delivering value to the parent company and its customers. So that's the ultimate motive of any organization, to have a more sophisticated and advanced methods to get these machine learning models and deliver values out of it. So we'll discuss some of the examples of how banking industry works. And these examples are actually implemented in Bank of Baroda, which is one of the top PSU banks in India. And I was working in Accenture. So today we'll discuss some of the samples, the sample data set which we have in Kaggle and how it works. And then we'll quickly walk through that, what is the importance of ML and AI. And we'll also discuss about the career transitions which you guys can make, having the knowledge of Python, which is I think mandatory in all the branches now. So it has become more easier to transition into maybe say IT role or a data engineer role or a data scientist role as well. So we'll discuss that as well, and then we'll have a maybe short Q&A as well at the end. So to begin with, what is a churn model? So churn is an English word which is called for if you are moving out. So churning can be moving out of one bank and opening an account in another bank. Suppose you have an account with the State Bank of India, but you are not happy with their services. You move to HDFC Bank, the private banks. So that is the churning of customers which is happening. Then you might churn due to some other reason, there is an option of shifting your home loans from one bank to another. So this is an issue which banks are facing a lot, that they are churning, and due to the RBI guidelines they cannot be stopped as well. At any moment they can shift their loans or their accounts. Saving bank account, current bank account, it is very easy to churn, because you can at any point of time close your account and move to another account, and there can be various other reasons also for that. But with churn models, what we can do is we can identify those set of customers who are likely to churn, maybe say next 6 months, in 1 year, so that bank can create a strategy and try to stop them. Suppose that if there is a person who is using credit card and we obtain that this person is highly likely to churn in 6 months. So what bank will do, bank will give him some offers that you are getting this offer, you purchase this thing, will give you maybe say 50% off and those things. So after we give these results to bank, they can actually target those customers and they can stop this churn. Because how the banking industry works is, it is on two models, right? Either you give money to the bank in terms of saving account or current account and you get interest, or you take loans from the bank. And this is a complete ecosystem how it works, right? So you have to say suppose there are two categories in the bank. As I said, saving account and current account are the liability to the bank. Why they are the liability to the bank? Because we are giving interest as a bank to you when you are depositing your money with us. Whereas if I am giving loan to you, you are giving as a customer interest to me, to the bank, and then you give money to the bank. So basically there are two set, asset and liability, and this is a complete ecosystem. Once I get money from some person, I can give it to another. So basically in these churn models, we try to save both the customers. If I get a shortage of money, I will not be able to give more loans. If I get less loans, then I will not be able to make more profit. So this is an ecosystem which needs to be maintained for the churn models. So basically these are simple models. So one thing which we need to know and which we need to remember in our career is that 90% of the industry problems can be solved using simple things, and only 10% problems require a advanced solution. Suppose deep learning, you would have heard the term of deep learning. There is a buzz going on for convergence AI. So all these are still solving only 5%, and these are more towards the research or PhD role. But if you want to solve the real world problem, so those can be solved with a very simple algorithm like linear regression, logistic regression, with just 2 to 3 lines of code. So what that does is it makes our job easier, right? We can learn things quickly and we can implement it quickly. So my focus for this session would be, and for your guidance as well for your future, that focus on simple things so that you become more confident and you are actually well equipped to serve industry in a more better way, rather than going in some direction which is more complex and then not able to solve that particular problem. So in this churn model, it is like simple model. So I'll just give you a high level example. Suppose I have an age of a particular customer. His age is say 25 years. How long he's been in the bank, that is the tenure of that customer. What is his saving balance? What is his like expenditure in next 3 months, 6 months? So these are all the variables which we use to create the model. And whenever we create the model, we already have in data with us. So we have that data, like suppose we are running the model today in 2023. So what we'll do, we'll train the model based on the data which we have for 2021 and 2020, say 2 years, 2020 and 2021. And then we'll try to see that which customer is going to churn. So suppose out of 100 customers, there are 5 customers who are likely to move out. So we will build a model in such a way and identify those features which I talked about. Like say, there are young generations, say, which are 20 to 30 years, they are likely to churn more rather than a person who's 50 to 60 years and is being a loyal customer to the bank. So that is like one of the factors. So basically in this model, we try to label the target variable, which is whether a customer will leave the company or not, or leave the, it can be even used for leaving the company. So this model is even used for different companies in HRs. Like they try to analyze whether this this employee is likely to churn our organization in terms of a better role or better opportunity or in terms of monetary benefit. So those things can also be identified with the churn model. So churn is a different set, but here we are considering about churning from a bank, closing your particular account and churning from the bank. So all these variables you can use and you can identify whether this person will churn or not. So you'll get a 0 or 1. So suppose if you say 1, that means that person is likely to move out of the bank. And these can be built using a simple Python notebook. We'll go through that notebook also quickly after this theoretical domain knowledge, because you need to have a background to understand what happens. So that is a churn model. Then you have cross-sell models. What are the cross-sell models? Like selling some schemes for a customer who already have one particular scheme. Like suppose you would have seen that you get messages or calls to take home loans. How those schemes are, or how those phone calls are coming, because you already have a saving account with that bank, or you already have some other account with that bank. Maybe you have taken a car loan, now you are getting a request to take a home loan, because bank knows that you are a loyal customer and there is a very high chances that you will take that loan. And why this is important, I'll tell you. The reason of the data. Data is very huge. So in today's date, in PSU's bank, there are more than 10 crores customer in India. That's goes to the Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana, which started lately, like 2-3 years back, which increased the customer base to 4 times. So basically, if you see that base is that one, but still, like if you exclude Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana, still we have like one. This is, I'm talking about one bank, so 3 to 4 crore people. So it is not possible monetary wise and in terms of strength wise to target each customer using the traditional method. So you have to take help of the technology and you have to see that how you can target these customers. So that is how these cross-sell models are very useful. They help you target, instead of 1 crore, you target only 1 lakh people. and out of that 1 lakh, if even 10% is converting, that is a very good conversion rate. Even 10,000 are taking loans. So just imagine if a one person is taking a loan of say 1 lakh only, 1 lakh into 10,000, that much business you will be able to generate for the bank, and maybe whatever cost has gone for them, that would be like 1 lakh into 10 rupees per customer, the customer acquisition cost. So that gives a very high return of investment as well, and plus that is a combination of both the domain knowledge and technical knowledge. So all these models are on that basis only. Either they are selling their schemes or making profit or making sure that our ecosystem of the bank is maintained and there is a very high growth. So finance industry overall is growing very fast. Anybody who knows about stocks here, they would be knowing that banking sector is growing very fast. That is because the economy is growing fast and there is a need of these banks which is very huge. So with your technical knowledge, if you move on into IT industry or analytics industry, you need to have some business knowledge as well. So I would suggest, like, in initial phase you can try different domains, but then definitely at some point you will come at some position where you would like to explore more of that business, and then only you will be able to solve the actual problems. Say you decide to go and work in Amazon or Google, so there you need to know how Amazon works, Amazon, Flipkart, those are e-commerce business. So those industry knowledge also you need to have, otherwise you will be just doing coding and you will not be able to deliver more values. So with coding you need to also have these business knowledge, and if you start gaining knowledge from this time only, you would be better equipped when the companies come for placement and you can say I already have this knowledge, and that will definitely give you an edge over all the other students which you have, that if you already know about what is happening, and you not need to like go to some industry and do internship. You can learn many things from Kaggle. So Kaggle is something where you can download the data set. So whatever data set I'll be showing today, it's from Kaggle only, and it is very close to what we are using in the real world. So those things you need to know, and you need to understand what is the problem, how you are solving is the coding part which you will do, but what is the problem and what is the solution which you will be suggesting. So that is for the cross-sell. And similarly we have the forecasting model. So forecasting is something which is generally widely used in industry, not only in banking but anywhere. You want to forecast what will happen in the future, right? You want to forecast what will be the sale of a particular product in say next 6 months. It is used widely by e-commerce industry. They have a great big billion day and those Amazon sales which happened. So in that they want to predict that what would be the sale, how much product they need to keep in stocks. So those all use the forecasting model. In banks, how we are using it, we want to know how much money will come in the bank, how much would be the saving rate, how much would be the renewal rate, how many people will renew their maybe deposits which are there in the bank. This is very important to have an idea of what will happen in the future. It should not happen that banks is giving more loans, but then there are less people depositing money. So it all depends on the macroeconomic factors as well. So all these models also associate macroeconomic factors like inflation, what is the GDP of the country. If suppose situation like COVID comes, then everybody wants to save money, no one wants to take loan. So all those factors are also being taken care. Macroeconomic factors is something which is taken care in mostly all of the models to understand how the bank is reacting to the economy, because if economy is doing good, even the banks will do good. But you need to still predict. It should not happen that a bank has a potential to give loans to 10 people, but bank is giving only to 5. So with this you can increase all the revenues and all the profits, and also save them for having a better customer experience as well. And then we have some regulatory models as well, which is like RBI mandates now. So RBI wants that, RBI also knows that this is the technical capabilities which people have, like which technical people have. So they want that you build some models and explain those models to us. In that they want to find probability of default. So we know, right, there are many people who have defaulted, like Vijay Mallya and those people, so who have defaulted and left the country. So bank doesn't want people like that. Those are called the non-performing assets of the bank. So there are models to predict the defaulter as well. And that is how it is done, like there is a background verification and everything done. But then using this model also we can predict whether you have a high probability to default. So even if this model is saying you have a high probability to default, but your background check is good, it is preferred that you believe this model result. But because if you don't give loan to one person, that is fine. But if that person defaults, that is a big blow to the bank, and every bank wants that the probability of default should be less. And as per these regulatory models, they maintain that how this like what is the probability of default, what will be the loss of the bank, how will bank recover that money. So all of these things we have to predict and we have to show to RBI that this is what our trends look like, and if there is some support needed from RBI, the banks take those support as well. So basically, all in all, these are some of the models, but there are many models which works in the similar scenario, and they are all based on simple techniques. So everyone wants to work on simple techniques because it is easy to explain. So one thing is you are solving something with an advanced technique, but more advanced you go, more difficult it is to explain. But if you are working on simpler things, you can explain it in a more easy manner, and other person can also understand even if he is from a non-technical background. So all of these are examples. After this, I'll go to the Python case study. Before that, any questions on this or any generic question on banking industry, anyone?
Any questions?
Any questions? Please don't hesitate. Like even simple questions you can ask.
कोई query किसी को? In business analyst or in the data analyst?
Yeah, that's a good question. So these terms are very widely used. It can have a different meaning across different industries. So, but in a high level, if you say business analyst is someone who has a more on domain knowledge and he works lesser on data. But a data analyst is someone who will work 70% into data and he'll use techniques like SQL, Python, and give value to the business. But business person will use maybe say 30% of analytics and coding skills, and 70% he need to use business to present it to the stakeholders or to the leaders. And the second role which comes into business analytics is visualization. So how you are visualizing your data, like you would have heard things like Power BI, Tableau. So all these also come as a business analyst. So that is a more of business related domain. But when you say about data analyst, he is working more into data, like data analyst in terms of SQL or even Excel. Excel is also one of the underrated tools. It is used a lot in industry, and even those people are also named as data analysts who can provide value from the data. So like if I am working as a data analyst and you are working as a business analyst, I'll tell you this is what data is saying. Now you need to convert it into business form and you need to explain to the stakeholders. So that is more business oriented role. But again, it depends on company to company. There are some companies in which business analyst is also making data science models, ML models. So it depends. And then there are some companies in which data scientist is working on Excel only. So it depends. So whenever you apply for any role or any companies, when the companies come in college, you need to know that what things happen in that company, what are the roles, what are the description of that role, because name is very vague. It can vary across industries. Anyone else? Any questions? Feel free to ask any question. No one will be judged today or given marks on these questions. From the campus only in IT, and with time I developed interest. I already had computer science in my 11th, 12th, and I had an inclination towards coding. And there is something called self-realization as well, that you need to know that what's next. So if I had to continue in mechanical, I maybe had to crack GATE and get top 100 or something, or to crack PSUs, get into top 500. I knew that is something which I'll not be able to achieve, because there is some self-realization which you already have. So at that point only, I think in third year only, I decided that wherever I'll get the placement, I'll take it if it happens. Otherwise, maybe I'll go for another route, MBA or something, because I was even offered role in mechanical, I remember. But then at that time it was like 50% less salary, and I knew that the growth in IT sector is a little more. So I choose that industry. If I would have got into GATE or PSUs, at that time I would have chosen mechanical. So it was what came along the way I took it. So I got placed from the campus only in Capgemini. That was the first interview which I got, and I got placed. So there was not looking back from there. I initially thought I'll do MBA and those things in my career, but then later when my career moved ahead, I realized there are a lot of opportunities to grow in the same area and remain in the technical field, and also learn the business, not by a degree, but by working in this particular business. I learned that, and then I continued on this space. So I hope it answers your question. So it depends on everyone's personal interest. If there is someone who's not interested in too much coding, or mechanical is something which interests you and you want to go in research field, that is definitely an option. But I have seen there are people from mechanical background who have done a lot in industry, and Like they are good in coding, and to be very honest, coding is not very complex thing. As I told, SQL and Python, those two things are used in industry. And if you study SQL and Python for like three months each, you will be able to work in like 80 to 90% of the industry problem. So that is also the second thing to like move ahead. I hope we all know that we understand theory, but we want to know how it is used. So this is a simple Kaggle notebook which solves a same churn model problem which we were discussing, that why a person is churning. So we'll see how this pattern works, and usually this pattern you have to follow in any Python problem which you are solving, or any data analytics or any data science problem you are doing. If you are learning Python, I hope you all have Python in your syllabus, and that is a good thing. We were not lucky enough to have Python, and we like learned during our job phase only. But now that you all have already having Python, you need to know that how to use Python. So in Python also there are different stages. Like you need, if you want to do data science or data analytics, you can do from simple commands. You don't need to do advanced Python. But if you are building some like user interface, or you are building some like say something related to robotics, then you might need to go to advanced Python. But here we can do with a simple like one-liner command, we can solve most of the things, and we can understand the data very accurately. So we will quickly go through what we have here. So the first thing which you see is the libraries, right? So whoever has some basic idea about Python, you would be knowing that what are the functions of libraries. So library is nothing but they are the packages which are already built at the backend. You just need to know how to use that and which package to use when. Like simple example I'll give, like pandas is a data frame which is pandas is a library which used to create data frame. So you need to export your data from an Excel format into a data frame format which is in Python, and then you can review the data. So these three libraries are the ABC of data, and most of the industries are still using it. You would see that there are people saying that these are like the old dated libraries and people are starting using new libraries. But I tell you, like 80% of industry is still using these libraries and is still working on these particular things. So now, like next step, we will see that we have this particular data, and you can easily load this data into a data frame called customer data, and then you can review this particular data, how the data looks. So if you see, these are the all the variables which are used to identify whether a particular customer will move out of the bank or not. So if you see, we have the credit score. So credit score is the score which tells you how good credit history you have you defaulted in past or not, what is your gender, what is your age, because age is something which is very important to determine whether that person is in an age bracket who are more likely to default or who are more likely to move out of the bank. Then tenure is something, more tenure you are in the bank, there are less chances that you will default. So if you see, the last column is exited, right? So this is the target column. Like if exited is 1, that means this person has exited from the bank. So from these 5 rows, the intent of seeing these 5 rows using this simple command .head5 is just to understand your data, that which variable is having numerical data, which is having categorical data. So if you are having those particular things, you can know that, okay, this person, you can tell the bank that CBOSS, this particular customer is looking that he will churn in 3 months. You can take any action now, and you will be able to save this customer and save it for the future. Because generally what happens, once a customer churns from a particular bank, it is very less likely that he will come back to the bank. So that is one of the opportunities. So if you see, there is this person, right? First person who's maintaining a balance of 0 rupees, then fourth person 0 rupees. So he's anyways not maintaining any balance, and he at the end, like there are one person who churned out, this person is still remained. So there can be different categories. Even the third person who's having a very good balance of say 1,59,000, he also exited. So he might have another factors, like maybe say customer experience, or maybe say his particular country, like he's from particular country in which there is some recession or something happening. So that might also be a factor. So all these factors, ultimately you have to derive whether this person will exit or not. And this is the data which you use for training purposes. Then these are simple commands, like some variables which you don't want to use. So you know, right, A surname of a person will not decide whether this person will leave the bank or not. A customer ID is just a unique identifier, so that will not define whether a person will not remove or not. So these are something which you need to know from your domain knowledge. Nobody will come and tell you. Even if you are working in a technical field, you need to know these basic things, that you don't enter this data into model. Otherwise, it will give you all inaccurate data, because model is also running at the back end, but it is not as smart as human being to identify the business justification of these particular variable. So you can drop all the unnecessary variables which you have, and then you need to convert some variables. So if you remember, we had data for male, gender, male, female. So now you need to convert this into 0 and 1. So if a person is male, then this column will have value as 1. If it is female, then it will have 0. So why this is important? To convert the data in one particular format. So these are the basic data sanity steps which you need to do in any problem, not only in banking, but any problem which you are solving in Python. You need to follow these basic data steps. And then we have variance inflation factor, which is which variable is most important and contributing the most for a person to exit. So if you see, we have like credit score, we have age, we have tenure, balance. All these things are arranged in a descending order. So credit score and age are the two factors which is contributing the maximum for a person to exit. As I told, there is a tendency of the younger generation to exit more, and they are not very patient, so they might exit more. Then if some person is having a bad credit score, he is defaulting, so he might be defaulting from here as well, and he might be like moving out of the bank. So all of these can be determined very easily. Now I'll quickly show you the command, how easy it is to apply these models. So if you see, this is like application of this particular model. So you divide your data set into two parts, test and train. Like you want to train your model on a particular data, and then you want to test it on a different data set which is of a different time frame generally. So by this simple command, you can divide your data set into 20 to 80 ratio. So 80% is your training and 20% is your test data, which is the random data. And then using these libraries, like suppose it is a sklearn library. So if I want to build a model, so just you need to know that how to implement. So everything is already there at the back end. You just need to know that which model to implement and how to implement it. So if we see, so this is a particular XGBoost model in which you can see that, okay, this model, you are fitting how you are fitting the model on the training data, and then you are making your prediction on the test data. So just like writing this simple line of one line only. So basically the important line of code is this first one only, that you are importing one particular library and then you are running the model on this. So just writing 2 lines of code, you are actually getting the model result, which will work not only for 10,000 rows, but also for 10 crore rows or maybe more data as well. So this is the beauty of the Python. So just that you need to know that how to use it. As I said, you will not be required to build these models or libraries. Everything is already built. Like 95% of the industry only demands that you know how to implement the model and when to use which model. That is also important. So this is one of the models, random forest. Then you have other models like linear regression, you have decision tree and other things. So the simple funda of using the models is, if you can solve and get a higher accuracy using simpler models, you don't need to use a complex models. So you only get and use the complex models when you are not able to get the accuracy which you desire from the simple models. So this is how like overall industry works, and you can also see the accuracy as well. Then you need to have some graphs as well, which you need to show in your Python notebook, which is very important to show your data to your leaders in your company, if you are managers, senior managers, or if you are showing to some client. Client doesn't want to see your code, he wants to see what is the output you are getting and what you are trying to convey. So if I am trying to convey here, if I don't say anything also, it is very clear that age and estimated salary are the 2 top factors which are contributing. Then the gender is something which is contributing but very less, the male. So this is sort of a bar plot. So data visualization is also one of the very essential skills required in today's time, and you need to know how to like use these models and how you need to use this particular visualization, and again which visualization to use when. So pie chart, bar chart, there are various ways of doing things, and again those are very simple things. You just need to have a hunger to learn new things, And once you have that hunger and once you know that what you need to learn, you will be definitely on the right path. So this is all about the Python notebook which I had. Any questions on this particular notebook? How many of you like already know Python from before? Okay. I see like around 8 to 10 hands. I think there should be more, right? Because Python is like one of your mandatory subjects at least, I think. So I'm not going to ask any question, don't worry. I'm just asking to see how it works and like so that you would be more in a better position to understand things. And even if you don't know, that is not a problem. You can learn more. But yeah, if you know the basics, then you would have like got more context of what I was talking about and how to use it. Because we know the technical things, we know the commands, but we don't know how to use a particular command. So at that place, this becomes very useful. Any questions, please feel free to ask any basic question, any command, thing which you didn't understand, or any technical stuff, why I am doing this, or what is the purpose if you didn't get of solving this particular problem. One or two questions maybe from the last few rows. Any questions?
कोई क्वेश्चन नहीं है। अमर, अपने थोड़ा सा एक्सपीरियंस जो आपके कॉलेज के थे एंड हाउ यू मूव इन योर कैरियर, राइट? लेट्स शेयर विद देम सो दैट दे गेट मोटिवेटेड टू हैव क्वेश्चन।
So in terms of, I'll maybe give you some advice on the career front and how you should move ahead. So one thing is that we are in that phase. I understand we all were also in that phase at some point of time, that we feel that what are we doing, why we need to attend classes and those things. But trust me, those are all very beneficial to you. Maybe you might not end up in going into a mechanical role if you are from mechanical, or you might not end up in being a CS and IT. Many of you might do MBAs, or you might go to maybe government services, banks and many things. But what is important, why we need to attend classes and why we need to learn is because we should, one thing is it makes us disciplined, that we need to know that okay, this is a discipline which we need to follow. Even if you are going in your job, so in college if you are missing your classes, maybe you will get some warnings, you can leave it. But in job you have to be very disciplined, because it is more important to be hardworking and disciplined in life rather than talented. If you are disciplined and hardworking, you will like be able to cross those who are more talented than you. So those are two important parameters which we need to keep in mind. And then the other thing which I want to talk about is the failures. So we have seen, right, even in our batch there are many people who got backs and then they moved on from there. So there are two ways how you can face a failure. Either you go down and never move up, or you like go ahead and like get ahead of time and you face your failures. So I'll give you my example. I also got, I think, back in 3 subjects, and I was actually having one running back as well in 7th semester when I got placement is Capgemini. So I did not get a chance to get placed in Infosys and Accenture because I was having that back and I could not appear in that interview. But the first interview which I got in Capgemini, and I think there were 500 students, and I was able to get selected in the top 16, and I was among the 4 students from mechanical who got selected. So that was an achievement in itself. So that tells, like, definitely there are things which may not be correct for you, but then if you are hardworking and if you are disciplined and if you are ready to face your failures, you can get through those things, and you need to know what is making you fail. So I'll give you an example. Like one thing which I faced was in initial first and second year, that I did not knew that how much to write and what to write. So whatever backs I got in initial 2 years only, and in that the major problem was I was from a CBSE background. So I used to write very short answers. So when I came out of first year and second year, I realized that I need to write long answers to explain more. I might be knowing things, but if I am not able to explain that, then it becomes very difficult. The word doesn't work on objective, right? So you need to explain your things, you need to practice, you need to, and that is the reason where your internal exams also come into picture, right? We all feel why we need to give internal exam, we'll get passing marks and those things. So internal exams and passing marks should not be objective, but it should be considered as your practice platform. Like many of you would be following cricket, right? So until you practice, you will not be able to succeed. Even if you are Virat Kohli of your field, if you practice, you will also fail. So you need to be consistent, and you need to know how to face your failure and what is causing your failure. So as I said, I realized that this is something which I need to improve. Then you need to work on other things as well. You need to work on your communication skills. So one thing which I feel which worked for me was the communication skills. So even if you are very good in your curriculum, in your studies, but if you don't have a good communication skills, you would maybe end up in not getting a role which you deserved, right? So you need to be very, and you don't need to speak English like maybe Shashi Tharoor, right? You need to explain very basic English, and if you are able to speak that thing also, that is fine. There might be people who are coming from Hindi medium here, but trust me, I have seen many from my batches who are from Hindi medium who are able to convert. So it is more about the confidence which you carry yourself and how you enhance your communication skills. So along with your technical skills, work on your communication skills. If any one of you want to move into MBA field, so MBA field is all about communication, whether you go into strategy, you go into marketing or anything. So communication is something which I'll tell that work on it. Even if you are going towards say civil services, there maximum people fail to crack interviews. Why? Because they don't have a good communication skill. So that is something which you need to work on. And then practice on, like, whatever you are doing. You might be struggling. Everyone struggles. We struggled. The toppers of my batch also struggled. So, but you have to know that how you can improve yourself. And if you are getting say 65%, try to go to 70. Don't try to target 95. Go step by step, and definitely then you will be able to move. And don't block your career. Don't think that, okay, I am from mechanical, I cannot get anything apart from mechanical. I am from CSIT. Even companies don't think like that, right? So who are we to think? They know better. They have seen many future engineers who are turned into CEOs, CTOs, and etc. So you have that capability. Until you are like willing to learn, putting your time, you are dedicated, hardworking, you will be like able to crack any of your dream roles, whether it is civil services, IT, MBA, anything. But you have to be excellent in your field. And if you are struggling, you need to know that, okay, this part, maybe I am struggling, how can I improve a little bit, and what is meant for it me. So you need to analyze that, what drives your passion. It should not be that you are forced into maybe say a particular branch or particular course which you did not want it. So that's fine, like at least focus on that course, get the maximum benefit out of that. Because I'll tell you how IT works, why they take mechanical engineer and electrical engineer is, there are many projects, like Volvo is having a project, then maybe Maruti, Honda, all of these are having projects. So if I have to explain some details, like suppose I have to explain about some thermal pressure or temperature, so I'll be easily able to explain to a mechanical guy as compared to IT guy. So there your business knowledge will be sorted with your mechanical expertise, which you learn in your 4 years. And then Python and SQL you can learn from in the industry as well, which as I said is very easy to learn by SQL, Python. You can do courses, you can learn from YouTube, you can learn from Kaggle. Then there are multiple sources which you can learn. And never think there is something stopping you, which is a barrier. So I am standing in front of you delivering this lecture. I was also a mediocre student, as I said, and I never imagined that at some point I'll deliver the lecture in this college. And many professors who are also sitting here who actually know how I was as a student. But that's the way to go, and always like keep on learning. Learning is like lifelong. I still learn new things, I still learn new technologies, because even if I have to survive in the industry, I have to learn new things. Otherwise, at some point, I'll be bored with what I am doing. So money would come, but money is not everything, right? You need to be satisfied with your job. So find your satisfaction, find your passion. And I've seen this generation is little more relaxed, so I understand you are, but then trust me, if you don't end up getting a job or getting a further education, then it becomes very frustrating at the end. So I would say that focus on what you have currently. Many people don't get a privilege to get education from such a good institute. So like make maximum of it and try to give maximum. And if you are someone who want to explore another phase, do that. Like if you want to prepare for CAT, start doing it from second year, third year. If you want to do some internship, start doing internship from second year. So don't go for paid internship. Even if you are getting online internship which are for 1 month, you will learn a lot. At that time it might be free, but then after 4th year there might be some person who is getting a package of 3 lakh and there might be another person who is getting a 15 lakh. So if you want to make that difference on 12 lakhs, you have to put in extra efforts with your college day-to-day regular life. So that is like overall in terms of guidance what I would like to tell you. Any questions regarding career thing or any doubts which you have?
क्वेश्चन ही नहीं है
कैरियर से रिलेटेड तो आई एम श्योर देयर वुड बी सम कंफ्यूजन्स गोइंग ऑन, राइट? You can ask. no professor is looking back and seeing you. Trust me, you can ask your question and you will not be identified who has asked that question. I expected some questions at least from career phase.
So CGPA matter करता है?
Sorry?
CGPA matter करता है?
Okay, good question. So सही बोलूँ तो इतना नहीं करता है CGPA matter. If you are able to convey the knowledge what you have, and if you are having a good communication skill and some, but yeah, it should not be like, because if it is very low your CGPA, that means you don't have the knowledge. So you should have a basic knowledge at least.
Below 5 पे डिग्री अवार्ड नहीं होती.
हाँ, अगर डिग्री नहीं मिलेगी या अगर फाइनल ईयर तक you have some back and you are not able to clear. So even when I got placed, I was having one running back, but it was said that I need to clear it in the 7th semester. Otherwise, I would have not got offer letter. So yeah, at least maintain the minimum basic what is required. Maybe I'm not sure it is like the criteria is going high. So if it is 70% in today's date, you need to maintain those 70. But yeah, there would not be much difference between a 75 and 95. So that is what is there. But yeah, you need to have some basic sanity which you need to do. But yeah, definitely down the line after 5 years, nobody will ask you your branch or your CGPA if you are doing well.
7th वाले बैठे 7th सेमेस्टर वाले हैं. हमारे क्वेश्चन ये बताओ 7th में तुम कितनी क्लास करते हो?
हाँ, so classes as I was saying, तो मैंने 8 semester तक क्लास किए हैं. I've done even in 7th semester 8. Even I got placed I think in August September starting of 7th semester only. But then also I completed all my classes because I wanted to justify like what I'm doing, whatever I'm learning. I might not be a topper of the class, but then I wanted to improve things, and at the end it actually increased my percentage. So I tell you, it was around, if I remember correctly, it was around 62, 63 till 3rd year, and in final year I got 83 or 84. So my percentage moved from 62 to 68 or 69. So that is advantage of like doing the classes only, because things become easier. But if you work on those easy things and you convert, then you are more able to convert. And I'll also tell you an example why I got placed into Capgemini. So that was not because of the subjects which I learned. So the major credit goes to the project which I was doing. And the project which I did, it was rotary preheater. I remember now also. So there were many questions asked on that particular knowledge, that what you have done, what was. So that I could answer only because of attending these labs, attending these classes, getting feedbacks from my mentor that what should I do. So I already have those questions asked. So a person who's coming from IT, if he sees that you have so much knowledge, so much confidence, then he is the one who will say that okay, you are offered this role. So I'll tell you, like when I moved out of interview, I was telling so many things. I have this certificate. So I was very active in extracurricular. So he was also asking, "Acha, aur kuch bacha hai kya?" So that should be your motto, that you should try to explain maximum, and that you can only do once you have confidence. You know that you have given your best. So try to attend maximum lectures, even in final year also, whatever is possible, because nothing goes waste. Everything is used at some point of time. So whatever I learned in 11th, 12th in SQL, I did not have SQL in my curriculum, but that SQL I learned in 11th, 12th, like 16 years back, I'm using still today. So SQL is something which is used more than Python, and in my 10 years of industrial journey, I've used SQL I think in all the roles, if I'm not missing out. Yeah, almost all the roles I have used SQL. So that is the point, that nothing goes waste. Something or the other, it develops your attitude, it develops your passion towards something, it develops your like capacity to face a problem. It develops your fear to have deadlines. If you have short deadlines, if you cannot complete anything, you tend to develop such a skill that you will be able to face the pressure. What is the difference between a 2 years experienced professional and a 10 years experienced professional? It is only how they are handling the pressure. So more you are able to handle the pressure, definitely in BTech we go through many failures and we are able to handle, but then we are able to handle with our professional life as well. So the whole point is that put your 100% in whatever you are learning. Don't think that okay, I'll just get the passing marks. Try your best, keep on improving, and then sit for all the companies. That is also something which I will recommend. You may have some other plans, but keep a backup plan with you. So don't skip companies. If you are able to make through in, if you are from mechanical, you are able to make through in mechanical, it's good. If you are from AI or data science, but you are not able to get into data science, well, if you are able to make it data engineering, that is also fine. Industry, if you are showing your hard work, you are showing your skills, you will be able to transition from one field to another. So I transitioned from mechanical to data engineer to data scientist, and now to a strategy role. So that is the phase which I have gone through, and definitely each one of you can go through. And I've seen many from my batch also who have done like wonders in their career. So that is how like you can like approach your career. So yeah, that's it from my side. Any final
So related to MBA, so working before MBA is a good option to consider, or particularly we should go for a job and take 2 or 3 years of work in a different domain, then go for MBA.
Yeah, if you have work experience, definitely MBA counts more value, because if you want to go in that industry. But if you are able to crack, and if you want to go to and get MBA, you can even get it. But I suggest go for MBA only from tier 1 colleges, because then there is like lot of quality issues and then placement issues which happen especially for MBAs. So MBAs is only worth when you are doing it from IIMs. So I'll be very honest, but even in BTech, there are many roles, many opportunities which you can get. But in MBA, if you are doing those things and you are getting a lower salary than what you are getting in BTech, or a lower role, then it is not worth. So whenever you do it from a tier 1 college. If you are doing from a like correspondence course with your job, then again there are many options. So there are times with many colleges who have started. Then you can do. Then even you can do from a college which I like interacted with Kadri sir, and I wanted to like give back of what I learned in the 4 years and how this college contributed to my journey. So as I said, everybody cannot make it to IITs and IIM. So I also knew that self-realization also I had when I passed out of my 12th. There were many students who dropped out. So I knew if I drop out, I would be able to make into NITs. That much confidence I had, but I did not have that confidence to make into ITs. So I landed up here, but definitely like don't think if you are in a tier 2 or tier 3 college you cannot excel in life. We have many such examples who have done very much great in their life. So always like be obedient and follow what your teachers are saying. They have seen all those things. They have seen students like us. They have guided us. So Kadri sir, I have like many other teachers. Khan sir is also Manohar sir. So all these teachers are teaching from the time in which we were in school. So just imagine the amount of experience they have. So we understand that sometimes we feel that okay, we need to do something, and we feel the same for our parents as well. But they have more experience, and the reason why our parents or our teacher guide us, because they know that you will not be able to have, or you will not be able to face that failure. So 8 out of 10 people are not able to face the failure. So if you follow their advice, and if you attend lecture is just a like part of it, but in terms of other things also, if you follow their advice, if you follow what they are trying to say, it would be very beneficial in whatever streams you are, because they have seen everything in their life and they have their experiences from the students also. So one thing is what to do, second thing is what not to do. So what not to do is more important. What to do, that you will realize in your career when you go ahead. So thank you.